Hello there and welcome back to Yes, that is something that happened in the Bible. Some of you may be wondering where I've been over the last several months, and it's okay, I miss you too. But it's very simple. On the last video you saw, I was living over here, and now in this video you're watching, I'm living over here. So I've been a little busy over the last 2 months. So since I'm in a new house in a new location, I thought I'd try something new. And so today is not going to be so much about a story, it's more like a theory. A Bible theory. Please don't sue me, Matt Pat. You see, there are some things in the Bible that we just don't realize the scale or significance of. It's because they're using like some kind of ancient Middle Eastern way of measuring something, or it's just hard to picture in our head. But if we can actually take a step back and realize what it is it's describing, we can see how it actually helps make a point in the story it's telling. Today we look at the book of Jonah, and we see how big Nineveh would have to be if it was actually a 3 days journey across. Let's begin. Now some of you may be wondering, why did I say if? Well, the verse I'm referring to is Jonah 3:3, which says that Nineveh was 3 days journey in breadth. The problem is that there's no way that Nineveh was actually that wide. Now some people say that it took 3 days to explore the whole city, some people would say that it included the neighboring towns, but most people all seem to agree that it's not an accurate description of how big Nineveh was. And to see why that is, I think we need to establish what a 3 days journey would have been. To help illustrate this, let's take a look at Joe. He's our friendly neighborhood ancient Middle Eastern person. And like most ancient Middle Eastern people, he walks an average of 3 to 5 miles an hour. So let's say Joe's a little bit slow. He walks 3 miles an hour, and he walks about 8 hours in a day. That gives him enough time to get up, have some breaks, eat different meals throughout the day, and be done before the sun sets. That puts him at about 24 miles in a day. So if we take Joe's 1 day journey of 24 and we times that by 3, we get 72 miles. And so the question becomes, is 72 miles really wide for a city? Yes. Yes, it is. You see, I used to live in the city of Cardiff. And Cardiff, being a capital city of Wales, is a staggering 7.2 miles wide. It is about a tenth of what a 3 days journey would be. I've now moved to London, the biggest city in the UK, and it is about 35-ish miles apart. It depends because it has a weird shape, so depending on where you go from one side to the other, you get around 35 miles. And again, only about half the size of Nineveh. In fact, Tokyo, the world's biggest city as of right now, is about 56 miles apart. And it doesn't even reach the size that ancient Nineveh would have had to been for it to be a 3 days journey. If a city was truly a 3 days journey, it'd be bigger than the state of Rhode Island. And that's only if he's on the slower side. Let's say he goes up a little bit faster to even 4 miles an hour. Now he's walking 96 miles out over those 3 days, and that's about the distance of Philadelphia to New York. So if Jonah is literal and Nineveh was a literal 3 days journey, Nineveh is now the biggest city in the world ever. So that might bring up the next question of, how big was ancient Nineveh? Well, it was a whopping 2 miles. In fact, the walls that encircled Nineveh was 7 miles in length. Now, they were really big, they were 50 feet in width, but still nowhere close to the 72 miles it needed to be. So some of you might be asking a final question of, why not just tell the literal size of Nineveh? Well, I mean, Jonah is a story. It's trying to give you the feeling of what it was like to walk into Nineveh. You see, Nineveh was huge back then, so it probably felt like the city was a 3 days journey in size to Jonah. It's like how you can say the last 6 months of this pandemic might have felt like 6 years for some people. Jonah uses extreme language throughout the entire book to help make points. And there's also a theme of 3 that goes throughout it. Jonah was in the belly of the big fish for 3 days. In fact, if you haven't ever read Jonah, you should just stop the video right now and go and do that. So while Nineveh might not have been physically that big, it sure felt that way to anybody who visited. The end. So what's the point of just pointing out this detail? Well, first, I think it's good to recognize that the Bible uses hyperbole and other ways to help emphasize different points. Second, Taking a moment to realize the sheer scale of these measurements helps enhance the story. And finally, Joe and the other Middle Eastern men never skipped leg day. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you'd like to see more Bible theories, please just leave a comment below. Like always, please like and subscribe. We actually got up to 74 subscribers, which is really cool. And again, if you don't know the book of Jonah, I'm actually going to leave a link in the description below to both a text version and another video that will give you a quick summary of it, because it's a wild story. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.